Can't believe I nearly missed this one. I'd like to thank my friend and patron Andy for waxing lyrical about this book during one of my Patreon book clubs. I'm annoyed at myself for missing this book completely, but so grateful to Andy for pointing it out and just saying such exciting things about it, which all proved to be very accurate. Idol Burning is awesome. Idol Burning is a novel by a very young and pretty incredible Japanese author, Rin Usami, and it's translated by Asa Yoneda into English. According to her author bio, Rin Usami is currently still a university student, having been born in 1999. And this book won the Akutagawa Prize, the most prestigious literary prize in Japan. It's a really short novel that I read in an afternoon. It clocks in at about 120 pages, and it is all told from the perspective of a high school girl called Akari. Akari, like many high school girls, university students, and adults, has an oshi, or idol. A specific boy from a specific boy group that she absolutely idolizes. But when the book begins, her idol has punched a female fan in the face, which is pretty bad news for him and for all of his fans. From here, we go kind of back and forth between the present and the recent past as we learn about Akari as a person, we learn about her idol and her connection to him, and how she spends her time. We see that Akari is a pretty middling student, her grades are not that impressive, she has a few friends, her life is very average and ordinary, there is nothing interesting about it, and so she doesn't really have anything to make herself stand out or to make her excited for the present or the future. And so we see that her life has kind of been replaced by that of her idol, obsessing over him, writing about him in her blog, going to the concerts. It all gives her life purpose. His life is her life. Her life is defined by his life. And now that he's punched a fan in the face, things are going to be upended. And before I go any further, I should probably mention the fact that I don't know much about idol culture. I don't know much about K-pop or J-pop. I have friends who are enormous stans of bands like BTS. The co-founder of Books and Bow, my business partner Jess, is a massive stan of some BTS stuff, but I don't get any of it. It's definitely not a culture that I'm part of and really understand, so I guess Jess would be better to review this book in that way because they would have a lot more insight into it, but they're not here. This is my channel. And so as I read the novel, I wondered what Rin Usami's perspective on idol culture actually is, because it's pretty cynical. It's a book that looks at the dark aspects of idol culture and fandom obsessions, and also how dark and bleak the lives of idols themselves are, which is a thing we've talked about a lot. There are so many rules and regulations around idols, their lives can be really restricted and pretty depressing. In spite of their incredible wealth and fame, it's not a nice life. And the book explores all of that. It's very, very cynical. But in this Q&A section at the back, which I read after I'd finished the book, Usami talks about the fact that she has her own oshi. She is a massive idol fan. So she really understands this world. And she also mentioned that it was a challenge for her to try and make sure that the idol group and the idol boy in this book don't reflect any real idols in the real world. It had to be all completely made up, and she really tried hard to make it seem like you couldn't make any real-world connections to real K-pop or J-pop people. I can't say for sure if she managed to do that because I don't know that much about idol culture. Idol Burning toes a line between focusing on the idol himself and Akari the character. It's a book that examines idol culture and looks at how difficult being an idol is for so many different reasons. The spotlight, the rules that I mentioned, the way that their lives are orchestrated and they are puppeteered. They are not real people in certain ways. They are very much put out on stage to be idols. And the other half is an enormous focus on Akari herself. Her life as a dedicated fan with her own blog, and chat rooms and Twitter and Instagram and places where she spends all of her time discussing her idol. And also she has a voice. Because she has this pretty popular blog, people turn to her for news about her oshi. She feels a sense of importance within the fandom, within the community, and that gives her life purpose. We learn a little bit about her grades, about her school life, her friends, her family, but her oshi is her purpose. She wakes up every day and there are certain rituals that she performs, checking Twitter, checking her blog, checking the numbers, writing something down, looking at the news surrounding the idol group, blah blah blah. This gives her life a rigid structure. Idols are more than just themselves. They provide a kind of cottage industry, whether that industry actually makes money or not. You've got paparazzi, you've got merchandise, you've got concerts and tours, but then you've also got the fans. And the idols are giving these fans purpose. Their lives mean something because they can focus their life around their idol. This is something that I massively relate to, even though I don't understand idol culture. When I was a teenager, my entire life was video games. And I still love playing games. I play video games every single day. But for a few years as a teenager, they defined me. Going on forums, checking the news, watching reviews, reading reviews, collecting magazines, etc. These were everything to me. And I liked the idea of being a voice, where my opinion mattered, where I could share news and information the second it drops. And so knowing everything about specific video games or video game creators, even composers, all of this was really important to me. So I relate to it in that sense. Video games gave me a sense of purpose. They were my personality, and this still remains true. So many people tie up their own personalities with being a gamer, or a metalhead, or an idol stan. These are things that define us. And there's something really, really darkly sad in that, but also something really uplifting. Whatever gives us purpose, as long as it doesn't hurt anyone, is fine, it's good. And so I said that this book is cynical, but it's also not. It looks at idol culture from all different angles, the good, the bad, the healthy, the unhealthy. It looks at the concept of cancelling, which isn't really real. I enjoy the fact that it doesn't shy away from cynicism, while also not making cynicism everything that the book is. There is a positivity to idol culture. It's a great book to give insight into the life of an idol stan. For people like myself, and maybe people who don't even know what K-pop and J-pop and stans and idols, etc. are, it's a wonderful window into this world, and it makes it accessible too, because it's a short, brief, pretty intense story about a teenage girl. At its heart, this is the story of a teenage girl trying to get through a few years of her life and find purpose and be extremely intimately obsessed with a specific thing, which we can all relate to. In that sense, it's cynical and incredibly human. There is a kindness to this book where it looks at idol culture from all different angles, from a very young writer who fully understands the culture and lives it. Now, when Andy recommended me this book, they mentioned that it is beautifully poetic in its language, and yeah, it really is. There is a lot of beauty and weight to the lines and the words that are spoken and chosen and even just thought by the protagonist. Her attitude towards her idol and idol culture is weighted and important, and you really do have to pay attention to the way that she thinks and feels and the way that her life is given purpose by her idol, by her oshi, by this culture. The choice of words, the way that she connects with other people, the texts that she sends, the posts that she writes for her blog, all of it is weighted and important and gives us so much insight into not just her, but the people around her, and as I said, the fandom itself. The behavior of idol fans. She's a wonderful blank slate in that sense. A teenage girl who is average in every sense of the word. She's a high schooler with average grades, average family, average friends, average everything. But she has this purpose. She has this obsession that gives her meaning, gives her a reason to get up in the morning. But all of that has been thrown up into the air and is just hovering there. And she's afraid. Everything is about to come crashing down because her idol punched someone, and that is incredibly exciting as a reader. Idol Burning is amazing for a book so short, written by someone so young and talented. It's really incredible stuff. I'm so glad that I read this, and I'm really grateful to Andy for pointing this book out. Idol Burning is awesome. Beautifully written, beautifully translated, wonderfully timely. Quite a vital read in a lot of ways, actually. So check it out. Support me on Patreon, and subscribe for books.